A couple of days ago, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, told Jeremy Hunt that he should not be cutting taxes. And they issued a strong warning against cutting taxes in March, suggesting that he needed to boost key areas of public spending instead. And yesterday he was quite defiant, but today he seems to have capitulated and accepted that the UK's focus, according to Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas, the IMF chief economist, should be the path towards fiscal consolidation. And Hunt has now said that he agrees with the IMF that untargeted tax cuts are just crowd pleasers, not a good idea. But if they are strategic, he then goes on to say, smart tax cuts, then that is a very important part of the strategy to grow the economy. And so I think he's not entirely given up, but he's now downplaying prospects that the UK tax cuts in his March budget will be as grand and as impressive and as crowd-pleasing and indeed as vote-gaining as he had hoped. So when he was speaking in early January about the likelihood of pre-election tax cuts, he was jumping the gun, and he's now trying to reset expectations and to dampen down expectations after the Treasury's own internal forecast suggested that he would have very little headroom for manoeuvre. However, the point is that things move very quickly, and between now and the budget on the 6th of March, there could be a dramatic change. I think if Mr. Hunt is not going to give out tax cuts, there is no point in delaying the date of the next election, and I think that will probably hit hard for Mr. Sunak. I think we could well be now that the International Monetary Fund has spoken, I think we could well find ourselves in a snap May election, as opposed to a November or even a January election. I think we will know by March the 6th whether or not there's going to be a May election. But it's now well within the range of possibility, because I don't think the Rwanda scheme is going to pay any dividends. Even if it works, it's not going to be the sort of magic bullet which will get the Conservatives re-elected. In fact, if anything, the Rwanda scheme is going to ensure people like me make absolutely certain that the present Conservative Party doesn't get back in power. And I don't think I can be alone. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the comments who will say that that the Conservatives are far worse than Rwanda. But I think Rwanda is the bottom line. The problem for me is that I don't think that the Labour Party see Rwanda as the problem that I identify. I think Rwanda is it's not about whether we trust Rwanda or not. I think Rwanda needs encouragement. All countries that are coming out of a serious crisis need encouragement from the rest of the international community, and it's our job to encourage them and to help. But to offshore our responsibilities in this way, this is a very different plan to the plan put forward by Maloney to house migrants in Albania while they're being processed. While they're being processed, I don't mind where we house migrants. I think it's a very good idea to outsource that accommodation, and it also means moving people who've had their asylum rejected, moving them onwards. Now that then becomes a more interesting option for people who have been housed in Rwanda while they are awaiting their decision, could continue to live maybe in Rwanda, particularly if they've adjusted to and found jobs in that country. But people who have their application approved should be accommodated in the UK if they came to the UK for asylum. That is the right thing to do. I think it's morally, legally, politically, fundamentally wrong to outsource our responsibilities. We have a moral, an ethical, a political duty to take in those refugees who meet the international criteria and who appeal for our aid. That is a tradition that goes back well beyond the 19th century, well beyond the Age of Liberation, well beyond the Middle Ages. It goes back to the ancient world. And to deny that and to tell some other country that they're going to take our refugees is an abhorrent snub to history. And that is why I object to it. And that is why I think it's fundamentally wrong, and it's advanced by people who really don't know what they're talking about. And Priti Patel, Kemi Badenoch. I wrote, for some reason there was a typo the other day, and I noticed that her name is actually spelled Semi Badenoch. That was not intentional at all. It was. I tend not to look at these things after I posted them because I've got other things I'm afraid I should be doing. But to go back to the Jeremy Hunt, the Bank of England has is seeing rapid progress in getting inflation down, apparently, and does that mean that we should that Jeremy Hunt should now be cutting taxes? He's awaiting the final numbers, but I don't think the positive signs of inflation going down are enough at this moment to justify tax cuts. Inflation going down is like a blip on the scales, on the bathroom scales early in the morning, and they have to. You have to have a consistent and regular decrease to be sure that you're losing weight. And I think his caution, as expressed today, it doesn't look to me like we will have the same scope for cutting taxes in the spring budget that we had in the autumn budget. I think that's a much more realistic statement, and I'm pleased he's come round to that observation. But of course, he's trying very hard to put out the image that he's not capitulating to the IMF. He's simply taking his own soundings by looking at the fiscal health and various projections. He's not being bullied into a corner. But of course he is. Of course he is.